How you doing? This is Coffee Break with Jimmy, and I guess tomorrow's the big day. We're going to have our vote for the primaries tomorrow. The primaries for the governor's race, and I guess they have the big race is Spencer Pratt there in Los Angeles for the mayor, and I guess he's around about 65% right now. He's way ahead of Karen Bass, and everybody kind of knew after those two fires there burnt down a couple of cities almost. Just Spencer Pratt's house, his mom and dad's house, everybody's house there was burnt down. Well, not everybody's, but everybody in those, Pacific Palisades and in Altadena. But so that's going real well for him. And this is a guy he's just what he calls the look around candidate. He looks around. What does he see? He sees a mess. He sees a mess with all the homeless, all the needles. He's talking about naked people standing in front of schools and different businesses and stuff. This is just the homeless that are here in Los Angeles. It happens here where I live out here in the valley. The homeless here, I think what they do is they give them a ticket and they send them from wherever they're at. They give them a bus ticket and they send them to L.A. and then in L.A. they give them a bus ticket and send them here to the valley. And that's why we got the biggest homeless there is in the nation, because everybody wants to live in California. But anyhow, this whole thing with the governor's race here in the state of California, here we had, now this was, I did a podcast here, I guess about a month ago on these guys, and Steve Hilton was sitting at 17%, Chad Bianco was sitting at 16%, then you had Katie Porter was at 13%, Eric Swall was at 13%. Xavier Becerra was at 4%. Betty Yee was at 2%. She's gone now. I haven't heard anything from her lately. Anyway, Tom Steyer was sitting at 10%. Antonio Villaraigosa was at 4%. Matt Mahan was at 4%. And that's basically where they were at. These are kind of the leaders that are leaders up to this point right now. But as soon as Eric Swall was... when he resigned from running for the governor for state of California, and he resigned from the House of Representatives because he was, I guess several women came in and they claimed that he either tried to rape them or raped them or some sexual innuendos and different things that made him feel real uncomfortable. There was a lot of things that were brought up at that time, and so he had no choice. He had to back out. And I haven't heard a word from him since, actually. But after that happened, because he was a front runner, well, the Democrats were scrambling. Now, who are we going to get? This Katie Porter didn't seem like she was just a mad woman that was mad at everybody and got mad at different things that they had some interviews with her, and she got mad in those interviews. And people just didn't like her personality, personally, I think. But this Xavier Becerra, they said, they started putting their money and their time behind him. And this guy here, and they say the X in Javier or Xavier, the X means experience, stands for experience. Experience in what? Experience, he was part of the Joe Biden administration. What was the HHS secretary of the Joe Biden administration? Was he the one that helped us all these illegal aliens come into the United States, to Texas and to California, and then they just hidden out of these blue cities, and now we can't get ICE, and they're getting a lot of them out of here, a lot. But let's face it, they want to get some of the bad characters out of here, the ones that have committed rape, murder, thievery, whatever they have done that's against the law, and a lot of it's done in other countries before they even got here. So they're trying to get these guys out of here, and they get help from the red states, but not the blue states. The blue states, they don't want ICE in there, and if they would just work with them, all the police departments, sheriff's departments, all law enforcement, they work hand in hand, they work together to get rid of this stuff, and these guys that committed rape and murder, stick these suckers out in Gitmo. Right? Leave them there. They don't have the rights here. They're illegal here. They don't have the rights here. Send their asses over to Gitmo and leave them there and let them rot there. If they committed murder or rape, that's where they belong. But these blue cities and these blue states want to protect them. And I guess Xavier Becerra, he's one of those guys that wants to protect them. And he's had guys that's been convicted, that's worked in his in the administration with him. I don't know if he worked exactly inside of his cabinet, but they said, "Oh, convicted." I seen a commercial one time. Don't know much about that. But this Xavier Becerra, all he's going to do is cover up all the fraud. He's going to cover up everything, all the illegal aliens that are here. He's this Nick Shirley Act passed. That's against the First Amendment right there, the freedom of speech, saying that he can't go and investigate different things that are happening where they're spending money fraudulently in the state of California like they did in Minnesota, like they did in Maine and other states. And that's what they passed that Nick Shirley Act, the way I understand it. I could be wrong. But all Xavier Becerra is going to do is back them up. We don't need him as the governor of California. Now, if he's the Democrat candidate, that's fine. But right now, he's going neck and neck with Steve Hilton. But, Chad Bianco is he's the only other Republican running. And he's sitting around 14 or 15%, I believe. Maybe a little bit lower, but he's right around that area there. So he's still got some power there. But what I'm saying is, all you Republican voters and Democrat voters that want to vote for them, because a lot of Democrat voters want change. They want change now. They know the last 16 years, I say the last 30 years, it's been run by Democrats, and that's why the state is where it's at, and that's why we're at where we're at, and that's why we need someone like Steve Hilton. That's why President Trump actually endorsed him. Okay. Maybe he endorsed him a little bit too soon. Maybe they would, if he would have left it alone and let him and Chad Bianco punch it out there for a little bit, maybe it'd have been a close race between those two there. But right now, Xavier Becerra, Steve Hilton, and this Tom Steyer. And Tom Steyer, all he's doing is throwing a bunch of money. The other day, I seen a commercial on him where he did a commercial with a trans athlete, a male athlete that won against, here in the state of California, against some female athletes, and he said he was proud of him. He was so happy for him doing the right thing. Now, that's not the right thing. Men don't need to compete against women in women's sports. If the men can't compete with the men in men's sports, that means they're not that good. I can tell you from personal experience. I competed in sports. The only thing I ever did worth a darn, really, when I was in high school, I did pole vault, because a friend of mine was a pole vaulter, and he taught me how to do that. So I was fairly decent at being a pole vaulter in track. But other than that, I wasn't fast. I had a high jump. I could jump a little bit, but I couldn't jump that high. And I had a couple of friends of mine did the Fallsbury flop. They were really good. And I just wasn't that good, okay? So I never won anything. But I competed and I had fun. And some of these other guys, if they just can't compete and have fun, they say, well, we can't win, but if we can win against the girls, get the hell out of here. Okay? We don't need men competing against women in women's sports. And that's just it. There's men and there's women, and that's it. There's only two genders. That's it. That's what it always will be. Anyway, this Tom Steyer was backing up this LGBTQ campaign to try to get them on his side. And he's just throwing out as much money as he can because he's a billionaire. But we can't let him or Xavier Becerra, we can't let those guys stay out in front. We got to vote in Steve Hilton. He's got some good policies. He's got some good ideas for the state of California. And I think it's time for a change. And I think most Democrats feel the same way, especially since you got this guy Pratt down in L.A., where he's really, and this is Los Angeles now, but he really, this guy here, they're just, like I said, he's like about 65 to 25 or whatever, Karen Bass. He's that far ahead of her, I guess, because people really like him because he speaks the truth. Instead of sitting there trying to give you some idea, no, this is what we got to do. He says we have to do these things first. Let's get rid of the homeless. She said the homeless would be done by 26. All the homeless would be gone out of California in 2026. We got more now in 2026 than we ever had before. And all it is People from other states, they're homeless there. They give them a bus ticket, send them to Los Angeles. They live in Los Angeles for a little while. Los Angeles gives them a bus ticket, send them to the valley, and that's where they stay. And that's how the homeless builds up here in the state of California. Because, of course, it's the Sunshine State, right? Everybody wants to live in California. Even the homeless do. But we got to do something to help them. Don't give them free needles. Don't let them stand out naked in front of schools. And this is what this Pratt is saying. All this stuff is going on. Even Bill Maher the other day was doing an interview on him. He said, well, we got to get rid of this stuff first before we do anything else. He goes, well, how about this or that? We got to take care of this. No, we got to get rid of the homeless. We got to do something for them to help them out. Get them in programs to where it's going to help them out. And he's got some ideas. And we have to clean this up in California. And especially in Los Angeles and in the Bay Area too. So everyone, all the Republicans, all the Democrats, I know there's a lot of you want to do it. Let's coalesce behind the Steve Hilton, and let's get him in there on this primary tomorrow. Vote tomorrow, and let's get him in there, and then we'll have a runoff with Hilton and whoever else. Probably this Becerra, but he's about a worthless candidate as they come. I mean, he came out of nowhere actually. They're actually depending on Eric Swalwell, but they caught him doing some nefarious things. So anyway, this is Coffee Break with Jim, and please, tomorrow, vote. We got to vote, and we got to get Steve Hilton in there to run for the governor of the state of California. Make some changes. So please subscribe and hit the like button and share, and vote tomorrow, okay? And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.